You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, think. Let your mind go, let yourself be free. Let's go bang, let's go bang.
Greetings, young scholars. Mr. Collistal speaking to you from the newly painted portion of my basement. Today's theme is revision. Interesting. Perfect for math. This isn't math. It's really not that cute. No. This is a good way to scare my sixth graders to revise their work. No. It's good to be king. Then no one can tell me my piece needs to be revised. Awful idea. Ahoy, mighty. This quarantine has been very difficult on my teeth. This won't work. No. I'm going to keep revising because I don't even understand this one. This adds a little mystery to the idea of revision. No. Dude, how do you feel about revising your piece? Good idea, but no. Mrs. Collistal? Is that you? No. Finally, I have found something that represents how I feel deep inside about the idea of revision. Now I can describe a breeze that may not exist for the reader. Now I can describe the style that the reader may otherwise not see. And finally, I can use descriptive words so my reader can see not only what I see, but what I feel. So, let's think. Which was the title of the song that we were listening to by the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. And she reminds us to think when we revise. When we do that, all things improve. So enough idle chit-chat. Let's revise. Today's theme is revision. Trying to improve on each step. So today's must-do, your reading jot, this video, which is really critical to watch first, not second. I know some of you have been going to the John Green videos and some other things that I've been showing first, which really makes no sense at all. You need to watch the expectations first. Then you know what to do. Then I'm going to have you watch a video today called The Magic of Revision, which is actually a TED Ed video, which I think will be really helpful and kind of fun. And then you need to use the feedback from No Red Ink to revise your work. Must show, reading jot, today's expectation video, which hopefully you'll do first, the Magic of Revision Ed puzzle, and then No Red Ink, use your feedback to revise your work. Here's a link to the Google form for your reading jot. And here's today's theme. So revise your COVID-19 journal entry, and you can revise your checkpoint 1 and 2, knowing what the expectation is, now understanding, because I'm going to give feedback to one of your classmates, and using that, I want you to go in and make revisions to the feedback that I've given you. So here's the link to the Magic Revision. Actually, it's the link to Edpuzzle, and then through Edpuzzle, you can get to the TED Ed video. Now, use your feedback you received in No Red Ink to revise all of your journal entries. So I would start with the one you turned in, but then go back and look at your other entries and see if you can make them better. So the feedback I'm going to give you now is based on your checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2, which going to the what do you know, how do you know it, and why does it matter? So I'm going to go back and revisit the John Green video that we watched.
and a website for the Stop City-funded internet campaign popped up. It claimed to be a grassroots community of local fiscal conservatives against the plan. The campaign site looked pretty sleek and professionally designed. It had a clear stated mission and high-quality photography. Oh, and also a list of all the ways that municipal internet service projects have failed. And just by looking at the website, you would not be able to tell who was really behind that campaign because it didn't name names or list its leadership. So we tend to read websites like we read books or articles. We start at the top of the page, look at the title, and scroll down from there. We read vertically. And many websites look legitimate when you're reading vertically because you're only seeing what their creators want you to see, and creators know what we think makes websites look authoritative. A well-designed logo, references and citations, professional photography, no grammatical errors or typos. And so when you read vertically, it is often impossible to distinguish reliable information from unreliable. But introducing other strategies into your reading, like looking elsewhere for additional information, can help you find out a lot more.
So here's one student's assessment of the trained engineer story. The author claims a trained engineer say he crashed in an attempt to attack Navy hospital ship. It is stated in the headline of this article. The author didn't put his or her name on it. Also, in the title of this article, she capitalized the first letter of each word, which in a strong and helpful article, the author would only capitalize the most important words and or words that need to be capitalized. Though the author didn't put his or her name on the article, it still used useful pictures with the title to where they had gotten it from. One thing, though, is a little confusing, is that the author had put links all over the article and in places where they don't even make sense to be in that spot. So I'm going to break this apart a little bit, and I want you to go back and reflect on what you wrote and see if you need some revision on yours. So the first claim is that the author didn't put his or her name on it. And when we look at these sources that I'm giving you, and we're going to be doing more next week, you need to read them very closely and very carefully. And it states right there that the author is Bill Chappell, National Public Radio. Now, the other claim is that the title of this article, he or she capitalized the first letter of each word, which in a strong and helpful article, the author would only capitalize the most important words or words that need to be capitalized. That is true. They did capitalize the beginning of each word. So let's look at some other sources, like, for example, the Wall Street Journal, which is probably the most conservative newspaper in America and is an incredibly accurate and credible source. It's been around for more than 100 years. And you can see right here in this headline, which goes all the way back from 2007, impact of mortgage crisis spreads. Well, all the key words are capitalized. The only word that's not capitalized is of. Does that mean this isn't a credible source? Did John Green tell us that one of the things we need to look for is if headlines are capitalized?
You better think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, think. Let your mind go, let yourself be free. Let's go back.
In fact, in their banner, the Wall Street Journal, every letter is capitalized. Does that mean the Wall Street Journal is not a credible source? I don't think so. Here's our local Journal Sentinel, and you'll see right here, they don't capitalize all the keywords. They only capitalized feds and in the abbreviation MPD. Does that mean this is a credible source? And then right here, all the letters are capitalized. So the fact that what is capitalized and isn't capitalized in a headline, that's about style. That's not about credibility. And that's exactly what John Green was asking you to avoid. Style over substance. He's asking you to look at substance. He's asking you, basically, in another set of words, don't judge a book by its cover. Here's one more point that your classmate made. Though the author didn't put his or her name on the article, which we now know is not accurate, it still has useful pictures. So does this picture make it accurate? Does it make it credible? Because if we go back to the lions in Russia, they had a picture. And it was actually from the New York Post, which is a credible source. But they didn't cite the picture was from the New York Post because the story was made up. There were never lions roaming in the streets of Russia. That was all made up. They never cited the source of where that information came from. They never cited where the photo came from because they stole it. You can't base the credibility of a source on how it looks, whether it's a picture or a font. How do we know if a source is credible? First, you have to look at what is the process that the information came from. Do they have a process, or is it just one person making stuff up? Is the author a professional, whether a professor, an expert, or a professional news reporter? And do they have a system to catch mistakes? So here's an example of a credible publication who clearly, when they catch a mistake, make it known. And this is from today, from the New York Times. So you see these are the corrections from May 4th and the corrections from May 5th. This is one way of measuring if a source is credible. There's nothing in there about photos or fonts or colors or layout or if it's pretty or if it's sloppy. That's not one of the three things you need to look for. And that's super critical. And John Green tells us that adults fall for this, that it's easy to be hoodwinked by the shine of how something looks. Wow, that looks professional. But is it? Who's behind it? Where'd the information come from? And can you trust it? So what you need to do now is think, in the words of our good friend Aretha Franklin. You've already planned, you've written, now you need to revise. You've received feedback, now you need to use that feedback, both from your classmates and from me, to revise your COVID-19 journal entry or entries and checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2. So we're going to go out with Aretha, and some of you took me up on the art idea and submitted some art for me. And so here it is. Have a great day.